Welcome to the deep dive. Life, as we all know, throws a lot our way, doesn't it?
It really does, yeah.
Unexpected twists, persistent pressures, those curveballs that just seem to come out of nowhere. We all navigate these ups and downs, but how we do it, well, that's where the real power lies. Today, we're going beyond just bouncing back, beyond mere resilience. We're diving much deeper into something far more profound, what we call inner strength.
Mm,
It's that core capacity within you, that wellspring of self-assurance and quiet courage that helps you remain steady no matter what external storms might rage.
that's a great way to put it, a core capacity.
So our mission today is clear. We're going to explore what inner strength truly is, where it comes from, and most importantly, how you can cultivate it within yourself.
Right?
This isn't about quick fixes or surface-level coping mechanisms. This deep dive is about drawing on ancient wisdom and blending it with cutting-edge psychological insights to give you a comprehensive roadmap.
That's right. And to really get to grips with this, we'll embark on a journey that spans millennia. It's quite something. We're going to start with the foundational insights of ancient Greek philosophers, like the brilliant Aristotle and the Stoics, who were grappling with these very questions thousands of years ago.
Amazing.
Then we'll fast forward to modern psychological frameworks, including the transformative power of self-discipline, the essential skill of emotional intelligence, and the revolutionary approach of positive psychology.
Wow.
It's a rich tapestry of thought, all converging on one powerful, actionable truth about strengthening your inner world.
And by the end of this deep dive, you, our listener, will have a much clearer roadmap, a way to build an unshakable foundation within yourself. This isn't just about coping with life's challenges. It's about moving beyond that to truly thriving, to embracing whatever comes your way with a profound sense of inner calm and capability. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it. The deep roots of inner strength, ancient wisdom on virtue and flourishing.
Okay, so when we talk about inner strength today, it might sound like a very modern concept. You hear it all the time.
Right, self-help psychology.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what's truly fascinating is how far back the roots of this idea actually go. Long before psychology as a field even existed, ancient Greek thinkers were wrestling with the most fundamental question. How should one live a good life? How did they begin to approach this idea of inner strength or a well-lived life?
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
So much of what we discuss about personal well-being today has its philosophical origins right there in ancient Greece. Thinkers like Socrates, Plato, and especially Aristotle were pioneers in what we now call virtue ethics.
Virtue ethics, right?
Yeah. Instead of focusing on rules or duties like, say, the Ten Commandments, this school of thought put the spotlight squarely on character. It asked, what kind of person should I be to live a life of true excellence and well-being?
Ah, okay. The focus is on the person.
Precisely. And Aristotle's masterpiece, the Nicomachean Ethics, is really the foundational text here. It wasn't just influential in Europe, it shaped centuries of philosophical tradition in the Islamic world too, with scholars like Al-Farabi and Avicenna building on his insights. Really profound impact.
Wow. So how did Aristotle approach this?
Well, Aristotle approached ethics almost like a scientist. He believed that just as a doctor seeks to understand health, an ethicist seeks to understand the highest human good. He called this ultimate goal the chief good or supreme good of human life. His argument was, look, if we can truly understand what this ultimate good is, then we can figure out how to live our lives in a way that aims for it.
Makes sense.
Not just for ourselves either, but for society as a whole. He even suggested his work was a guide for aspiring politicians on how to create the best possible lives for their citizens. It had a very practical social dimension too.
This highest human good. It's often translated as happiness, but you hear that Aristotle's concept of eudaimonia feels much richer than just, a fleeting feeling of joy. Is that right? What did he really mean?
You've absolutely hit on a crucial point there. Eudaimonia is far more profound than our modern idea of happiness, which often just means feeling good. Imagine it more like human flourishing or living well or even a life well lived. It's the ultimate goal, the one thing we pursue purely for its own sake.
For its own sake?
Yes. Everything else we do say, we pursue wealth or honor or pleasure. Aristotle would argue we do those things for the sake of eudaimonia. We think they'll contribute to our flourishing.
Okay, I see. They're a means to an end.
Exactly. Eudaimonia is the final end. He described it as final and complete. This means it encompasses all truly valuable things in life. Things like honor, pleasure, reason, and every virtue, he said, are chosen both for their own sake and because they are integral parts of a flourishing life.
So it's not just one thing.
No, it's not just one isolated good, but the full, rich tapestry of a life lived well.
Mm-hmm.
It's holistic. And this contrasts with some later views, like the Stoics, who were much more, shall we say, austere. They suggested that only goods of the soul, like wisdom and virtue, were essential components of true happiness, excluding things like external pleasures or honors.
Interesting difference. So was this ideal, this flourishing life, was it something only for the intellectual elite, the philosophers? Or did Aristotle believe it was achievable for anyone?
That's a great question, and it highlights a key difference between Aristotle and some other philosophers, like maybe Plato or the Stoics. He firmly believed eudaimonia was generally shared and attainable by the average person, provided they applied a modicum of care and attention and weren't completely wrecked in character, as he put it.
Huh. Okay, so accessible then.
Relatively accessible, yes. Much more optimistic, perhaps, than Plato's more abstract form of the good, or the Stoics, who thought true happiness was only for the perfectly virtuous.
Like sages.
Exactly, the sages, who, as they famously quipped, were rarer than the phoenix of the Ethiopians.
Wow. Okay, so Aristotle was more grounded.
Very much so, grounded in everyday human experience. Though it's worth noting that later, medieval thinkers like Thomas Aquinas, Al-Farabi, and Avicenna sort of reinterpreted this. They argued that ultimate happiness, the summum bonum, really lay in a direct acquaintance with God, primarily in the afterlife.
Ah, a theological shift.
Right, a concept Aristotle didn't really envisage as he viewed the soul as, well, dependent on the body. Aristotle also insisted that true flourishing must be uniquely and characteristically human.
What did he mean by that?
Well, he argued that a life of mere pleasure, for instance, doesn't distinguish us from other animals. Many animals seek pleasure. Our unique human capacities, particularly our ability to reason and use language to think rationally, are absolutely central to eudaimonia. He saw it as the excellent exercise of these distinctly human traits.
Using what makes us human, basically.
Precisely. And here's another crucial point. Eudaimonia isn't just a feeling or a passive state, like being wealthy or healthy. It's an activity.
An activity? How so?
Think about it. Courage isn't just about having the quality of courage somewhere inside you. It's about acting courageously. It's doing something.
Well, you have to do it.
Exactly. So flourishing is something you do, not something you merely experience. It's about living actively, making choices, engaging with the world virtuously. And this active nature is part of why he believed it's something of one's own and not easily taken from one. Your actions and choices are truly within your power, offering a profound source of inner strength. External things can be taken away, but your virtuous activity, that's yours.
That's a really powerful idea. So internal.
Very much so. He also introduced the concept of autarkis, or self-sufficiency, for a flourishing life, meaning it lacks nothing that would make it better.
Self-sufficient. Okay, so does that mean being alone, like a hermit?
Good question. No, not at all. This is where it gets really interesting. Aristotle famously said humans are political animals. Zoon politikon.
Meaning social creatures.
Exactly, inherently social. So for Aristotle, self-sufficiency is not solitary. A truly flourishing human life requires connection. Parents, children, spouses, friends, fellow citizens. Being part of a community isn't just like a nice add-on. It's fundamental to being human, like a piece in a board game needing the whole board to make sense.
So you need others to truly flourish.
Absolutely. Al-Farabi later echoed this. He even compared a well-functioning society to a living animal, with citizens as its vital organs. You can't have a functioning organ without the body.
Okay, this brings up a fascinating, almost a paradox. If true happiness, eudaimonia, is something you actively do throughout your entire life, how do you measure it? Can you only know if someone was truly flourishing after their life is complete?
It's a classic philosophical puzzle, and Aristotle tackled it head-on. He asserted that eudaimonia requires a complete life. He famously said, "One swallow does not make a summer," meaning you can't declare someone happy based on a short period of good fortune or even a few good years. You need to see how their whole life unfolds.
Right, so you can't call someone happy while they're still alive, technically.
Well, that's the puzzlement, he acknowledged. Can happiness only be judged in retrospect? It seems odd, right?
Yeah, a bit unsettling.
The Stoics, interestingly, tried to sidestep this paradox. They argued that true happiness wasn't about the quantity or completeness of life, but its quality. If you were truly virtuous, truly happy in the Stoic sense, then nothing, not even torture, or losing your family, or a tragic end could take that away from you, because it was an internal state based entirely on your virtue.
Wow. So external circumstances don't
In
matter.
a Stoic ideal, no,
Yeah.
went to your core happiness. There's a famous story from Herodotus, the historian, about the wise Athenian Solon visiting the incredibly rich King Croesus of Lydia.
Oh.
Croesus asks Solon who the happiest man in the world is, expecting Solon to name him. But Solon names some obscure deceased Athenians who lived virtuously and died honorably. Solon essentially tells the king that no one can be called happy until their life is over, because fortune is fickle. And sure enough, Croesus later suffers immense misfortunes. It perfectly illustrates this debate. Aristotle needing the complete life, the Stoics focusing on the inner state regardless of outcome.
Fascinating story. Okay, so back to Aristotle. How do we actually act in accordance with reason and achieve this flourishing life, this eudaimonia? This is where virtue comes in, right? It's the blueprint.
Exactly. This is where Aristotle's function argument comes into play, he asked. What is the unique function, the ergon, of a human being?
And his answer was reason.
Activity in accordance with reason. That's our unique job, so to speak. And to perform that function well, or excellently, is what he called are, which we translate as virtue.
Ah, okay. So virtue is doing our human function well.
Precisely. Just as a doctor's excellence, their arete, is healing well. A human being's excellence is living well, according to reason. He then gave us a powerful definition for what he called virtue of character. He said it's a disposition concerned with choice, lying in a mean relative to us, this being determined by reason, and in the way in which the man of practical wisdom would determine it.
Okay, that's a mouthful. Let's break that down. Disposition, mean, practical wisdom.
Right, let's unpack it. A disposition is like a habit or a tendency, a stable part of your character. Concerned with choice means it's about the deliberate decisions you make after thinking things through. Lying in a mean relative to us, this is the famous doctrine of the mean. Virtues are like a sweet spot, a middle ground between two extremes, which are vices.
Extremes of what?
Extremes of action or feeling. For example, courage is the mean between cowardice, too little fear, confidence, and rashness, too much confidence, too little fear.
Oh.
And crucially, this mean isn't a mathematical average, it's relative to us. What's temperate eating for a large athlete is different from what's temperate for a small child.
Right, context matters.
Exactly. And who figures out this mean? It's determined by reason, specifically by the person who has practical wisdom phronesis. That's the intellectual virtue that enables you to see the right thing to do in a particular situation.
Got it. So practical wisdom helps you find the virtuous middle path.
Precisely. It's the navigational tool for ethical living.
And this practical wisdom, this focus on virtue, leads us directly to what we now call the cardinal virtues, those core ones.
That's right. These are four foundational virtues that were considered, well, pivotal. Prudence, justice, fortitude or courage, and temperance. The term cardinal itself comes from the Latin word cardo, meaning hinge, because all other virtues are said to depend on or hinge upon these four.
The hinges of a moral life.
You could say that. Their lineage is quite impressive. Plato discussed them in his Republic, associating them with different classes in his ideal city and faculties of the soul. Aristotle then systematically elaborated on them, and they were embraced by the Stoics and later by Roman thinkers like Cicero, who famously defined virtue as a habit of mind in harmony with reason and the order of nature. They really became central to Western ethical thought.
Okay, can we quickly define each one? What do they really mean in this context?
Absolutely. Let's quickly outline them. First, prudence. Phronesis in Greek, prudentia in Latin. This isn't just being cautious, like looking both ways before crossing the street. It's the profound ability to discern the appropriate course of action in any given situation, considering all potential consequences. It's about clear-sighted judgment, wisdom in action, guiding your reason towards the best outcome, avoiding folly. It's that practical wisdom we just mentioned.
Okay, the wisdom to choose right.
Exactly. Next, justice. Δικαιοσύνη justitia. This is more than just legal fairness. It encompasses a harmonious alignment of your inner self, your soul's integrity. Outwardly, it's about living equitably with others, treating everyone with proper regard, upholding laws, fairness in distribution. It's about right relations with others and within oneself.
Fairness and integrity, got it.
Then there's courage, or fortitude.
Yeah.
Andrea Fortitudo. This is forbearance, strength, endurance, the ability to confront fear, uncertainty, and intimidation. It's not about being fearless. That might be rash.
Right.
Instead, it's about acting despite fear. A truly courageous person, some say, uncouples the emotional and behavioral components of fear. They face danger while still feeling afraid, rather than being reckless. It includes physical bravery, sure, but also the intellectual or emotional courage to stand for what's right.
Standing firm despite fear. Okay.
And finally, temperance. Sufficino temperantia. This virtue signifies restraint, self-control, moderation, especially in managing one's appetites and desires for pleasure. Plato thought this was incredibly important. It's about knowing the right amount, not too much, not too little. It applies to food, drink, sex, all sensory pleasures, ensuring balance and disciplined control over yourself, avoiding harmful excesses.
Self-control, moderation.
Okay. And these four, they resonate across traditions. You find echoes or explicit mentions in various religious texts like the Jewish wisdom literature, and they became fundamental in Christian ethics, often seen as natural virtues complementing the theological ones like faith, hope, and charity.
What stands out to me here, and I hope it does to you too, our listener, is how these ancient ideas, often depicted allegorically in art, you see them as female figures sometimes.
Right, you do.
They fundamentally argue that to be well, to flourish, one must be good. It's about aligning your actions, your choices, your entire character with reason, with living purposefully. It's about building this core of excellence within yourself.
Beautifully put.
And here's where it gets really interesting, because we're going to see how these ancient blueprints for living find startling resonance in, well, modern psychological insights about how we actually build that strength today. 2, modern interpretations, psychological paths to inner strength. Okay, so these ancient thinkers, Aristotle, the Stoics, Plato, they laid such a powerful foundation for understanding inner strength through virtue. But how do these timeless ideas connect with what modern psychology is uncovering? Let's jump forward a few millennia and see how contemporary insights help us build this essential capacity. And a fantastic place to start seems to be the sheer power of self-discipline.
Yeah, self-discipline. We talk about it. It often gets a bad rap. It sounds grim, restrictive, maybe boring.
Right, like forcing yourself to do things you hate.
Exactly. But in psychology, particularly positive psychology and performance psychology, it's really framed as the bridge between goals defined and goals accomplished. It's directly linked to happiness, success, and overall fulfillment. And what's fascinating is that research suggests disciplined individuals actually spend less time wrestling with temptations or debating impulses that don't align with their values.
Oh, that's counterintuitive. Less struggle.
Less internal struggle, yeah. They're more decisive. They are, in essence, the architects of their own beliefs and the actions they take, which means they're not easily sidetracked by whims or distractions. And they tend to feel more satisfied with their lives because they're actively building the life they want, step by step.
Architect sounds much better than taskmaster.
Doesn't it? It frames it as creative, proactive.
So how do we build it? Is it just willpower?
Well, it's more nuanced than just gritting your teeth. Brent Gleason, who is a former Navy SEAL turned business consultant, has some incredibly actionable insights on cultivating what he calls extreme self-discipline. He breaks it down into 9 powerful ways based on his SEAL training and business experience.
9. Okay, let's hear them.
Right. First, know your strengths and weaknesses. This isn't just a platitude. It's about radical self-awareness. It means truly owning your shortcomings rather than pretending they don't exist or giving into them with a fixed mindset. Gleason himself, for example, battled severe allergies, asthma, and poor eyesight. Pretty significant hurdles for someone wanting to be a Navy SEAL, right?
Yeah, seems like disqualifiers.
Almost. But instead of letting them define him, he acknowledged them and worked tirelessly on improving his lung function, saved up for corrective eye surgery. That's what he calls comfort zone expansion in action. You can't overcome your flaws until you honestly face them.
So honesty first. Got it. What's second?
Second, remove temptations. This might sound deceptively simple, out of sight, out of mind, but it's a powerful behavioral principle. By proactively eliminating the biggest temptations from your environment, you dramatically improve your chances of sticking to your goals.
Like, don't keep cookies in the house if you're trying to eat healthy.
Exactly. Toss the junk food. If you're trying to cut back on drinking, remove the alcohol. If you need to focus at work, turn off social media notifications, maybe silence your phone for blocks of time. It's about setting yourself up for success by making the right choices easier and the wrong choices harder. Environmental design.
Makes sense. Control the environment.
Third, set clear goals and an execution plan. Self-discipline is almost impossible if you don't know where you're going. You need a clear vision of what success looks like for you and a defined path to get there. As Gleason often tells his corporate clients, having 10 priorities translates to no priorities. You have to prioritize.
Focus is key.
Absolutely. Then you need a clear, maybe time-bound plan detailing each step. And he even suggests having a simple mantra or phrase that keeps you focused and emotionally connected to your mission, especially when things get tough.
Okay, clear goals, clear plan. Number 4.
Fourth, practice daily diligence. This is critical because self-discipline isn't something you're just born with. It's a learned behavior. Like any muscle, it requires daily practice and repetition to become habitual, automatic. Gleason acknowledges that this effort can be draining, especially at first, so embedding it into your routines is crucial. Put it on your calendar, add it to your to-do list, or, as he colorfully suggests, tattoo it on the back of your eyelids.
Huh. Okay, maybe not literally.
Maybe not literally, but whatever helps ensure that consistent daily engagement, make it non-negotiable.
Daily reps. Okay, 5.
Fifth, create new habits and rituals. The Navy SEAL motto, "Eat the elephant one bite at a time," perfectly illustrates this. When faced with daunting goals like becoming a SEAL or maybe starting a business or running a marathon, the trick is to break them down into small, doable steps to avoid feeling overwhelmed or intimidated.
Small steps.
Tiny steps even. Instead of trying to change everything at once, focus on mastering self-discipline with just one consistent small goal. Maybe it's just 10-15 minutes of exercise a day, or going to bed 30 minutes earlier, or prepping healthy lunches for the week.
Baby steps.
Exactly. Take those baby steps until your mindset and behavior shift. Then you can gradually add more ambitious goals. Build momentum.
Love that. Number 6.
Sixth, change your perception about willpower. Many people, maybe influenced by some older psychology theories, believe willpower is like a finite battery that depletes throughout the day.
Yeah, I've heard that. You run out of it.
Right. But Gleason, and actually quite a bit of newer research too, challenges this. He argues that embracing a mindset of unlimited willpower actually fosters mental toughness and helps you set and achieve those bigger stretch goals. Your internal beliefs, your mindset about willpower, significantly determine your actual level of discipline. Believing you can persist gives you a powerful boost.
Mind over matter to some extent.
To a significant extent, yes. Your conceptions shape your capacity.
Interesting. Okay, number 7.
Seventh, give yourself a backup plan. Now, this isn't about plan to fail. That's crucial. It's about intentional course correction. Psychologists call it implementation intention. It's basically creating an if-then plan for a known difficult situation you're likely to face. If X happens, a temptation arises, then I will do Y, a pre-planned coping strategy.
Ah, like planning for triggers.
Exactly. It's about foresight. Saving mental energy by making decisions based on a pre-planned strategy rather than emotional impulse in the heat of the moment. It's not a lame backup plan wrapped in mediocrity, as Gleason puts it, like saying, oh, well, if I don't make it to the gym, I'll just eat pizza. It's a smart contingency to stay on track.
Okay, proactive planning for obstacles. Number 8.
Eighth, find trusted coaches or mentors. Gleason stresses that the path to expertise, or even just significant improvement, is rarely walked alone. You need people who can provide constructive, even painful feedback.
The hard truths.
Sometimes, yes. True experts actively seek this kind of feedback, and they also develop the skill to discern when advice isn't quite right for them. The best coaches, he says, are unsentimental. They challenge you to higher levels of performance and prepare you for the next level, helping you identify blind spots you can't see yourself.
Valuable perspective. Okay, last one, number 9.
And finally, ninth, forgive yourself and move forward. Setbacks are inevitable. Failure happens. You will have ups and downs, he says. The key is persistence, not perfection. He shares a compelling story of a Navy SEAL buddy who wasn't selected for a top-tier unit on his first try. Instead of wallowing in sorrow or giving up, he immediately developed a new plan, requested specific additional training, and even transferred teams to get different experience to improve his chances next time.
Wow, reframing failure as feedback.
Exactly. The core message is, find the root cause by asking the 5 WHYs. Learn from your missteps, adjust your plan, and crucially, avoid getting wrapped up in guilt, anger, or frustration, because those emotions just paralyze you and impede future progress. Learn and move on.
That's a phenomenal, really practical breakdown. 9 powerful steps. Okay, so beyond that individual discipline, our ability to truly understand and manage emotions, both our own and those of others, feels absolutely crucial for navigating the complexities of modern life. What exactly is emotional intelligence, or EQ, and why does it matter so much in building this inner strength we're talking about?
Yeah, EQ. It's a term that gets thrown around a lot, but it's fundamentally about the ability to understand, use, and manage your own emotions in positive ways to relieve stress, communicate effectively, empathize with others, overcome challenges, and diffuse conflict. It's incredibly practical. It's not just about being nice. It directly helps you build stronger relationships, succeed in school and work, and achieve your personal goals by helping you connect your intentions to your actions, especially under pressure. Think of it as your emotional compass and your emotional regulator combined.
So it's different from IQ, from just being smart.
Oh, definitely. And it's important to see EQ as distinct from IQ, but also as a powerful partner to it. While a high IQ can certainly help you, say, grasp complex concepts or get into a great university, it's your EQ that truly helps you manage the stress and emotions when facing your final exams, or navigate the interpersonal dynamics and politics of a new job, or lead a team effectively.
So IQ gets you in the door, EQ helps you succeed once you're there.
That's a common way to put it, yeah. They really exist in tandem. Intellectual ability alone isn't enough for sustained success or genuine fulfillment. IQ and EQ are most effective when they complement each other.
So what's the impact then? How does EQ actually affect our lives?
The impact of EQ, or lack thereof, is remarkably broad. It touches almost everything. First, your performance at school or work. High emotional intelligence helps you navigate social complexities, lead effectively, motivate others, and collaborate smoothly. It's not surprising that many companies now view EQ as just as important as technical skills. Some even incorporate EQ testing into their hiring and promotion processes.
Really? EQ testing?
Absolutely. They recognize its value for teamwork, leadership, and client relations. Second, your physical health. This is a big one. Unmanaged emotions and chronic stress are directly linked to serious health problems. We're talking about elevated blood pressure, a suppressed immune system which makes you more vulnerable to illness, increased risk of heart attacks and strokes, even issues like infertility and accelerated aging.
Wow, that direct.
Very direct. A crucial insight here is that the first step to improving emotional intelligence is to learn how to manage stress, because stress hormones wreak havoc. Third, your mental health. Uncontrolled emotions and chronic stress contribute significantly to anxiety and depression. When you struggle to understand or manage your own emotional landscape, it often leads to difficulties forming strong, supportive relationships. And that lack of connection can then exacerbate mental health issues through feelings of loneliness and isolation. It's a vicious cycle sometimes.
Makes sense. Connection is key.
It is, which leads to the fourth point, your relationships. A strong EQ allows you to better express your own feelings clearly and constructively, and to understand others' emotions accurately. This paves the way for more effective communication, deeper empathy, and helps you forge stronger bonds, both personally and professionally. It builds trust.
Better communication, stronger bonds.
Right. And finally, your social intelligence. Being in tune with emotions, yours and others, serves a crucial social purpose. It helps you connect with others authentically, recognize subtle social cues and unspoken messages, reduce stress in interactions, and even helps balance your nervous system through healthy social communication. Ultimately, it helps you feel loved and happy because you're navigating the social world more effectively.
So EQ sounds incredibly vital for our well-being, our relationships, our success. How can we actively develop these crucial skills? Is it something you can learn, or are you just born with a certain level?
That's the great news. EQ skills absolutely can be learned and improved at any point in life. It's not fixed.
Okay, good.
However, it's not enough to simply read about EQ or understand it intellectually. You have to apply that knowledge in the real world, especially when you're under stress, because stress is what tends to hijack our rational brain and trigger reactive behavior.
Right, theory versus practice.
Exactly. To truly change behavior and maintain emotional awareness under pressure, you need to learn how to manage stress in the moment and practice the core EQ skills consistently. There are generally seen to be 4 key skills to emotional intelligence. Let's break them down with some practical applications. First, self-management. This is your ability to control impulsive feelings and behaviors, manage your emotions in healthy ways, take initiative, follow through on commitments, and adapt to changing circumstances.
So managing yourself.
Right. Think about it. When you're overwhelmed by stress, it's incredibly difficult to think clearly or make rational decisions. Your impulses take over. So effective stress management becomes the vital first step for self-management. By learning techniques to calm yourself down quickly and stay emotionally present, you can receive upsetting information without it derailing you, allowing you to make thoughtful choices rather than reacting impulsively or defensively.
Finding that pause button.
Precisely. Second key skill, self-awareness. This is the bedrock. It's about recognizing your own emotions as they happen and understanding how they affect your thoughts and behavior. It means knowing your strengths and weaknesses honestly and having a realistic sense of self-confidence. The key here is developing a moment-to-moment connection with your changing emotional experience, paying attention to what you're actually feeling right now.
Being present with your feelings.
Yes. And our early life experiences often shape how comfortable we are with certain emotions. Maybe we were taught anger is bad or sadness is weak. To truly build EQ, you often have to reconnect to your core emotions, accept them non-judgmentally, and become comfortable with them, even the difficult ones.
How do you do that?
The primary practice for achieving this is mindfulness. We keep coming back to it. Defined simply as purposely focusing your attention on the present moment and without judgment. Mindfulness practices like meditation or even just mindful breathing help calm and focus you, significantly increasing your self-awareness. You start to notice your emotional patterns.
Mindfulness again. Okay. Third skill.
Third is social awareness. This shifts the focus outward. It's the capacity to recognize and interpret the mainly nonverbal cues others are constantly using to communicate with you.
Reading people.
In a sense, yes, but it's more than just guessing. These subtle cues, a shift in posture, a fleeting facial expression, a micro-expression, a change in tone of voice, reveal how others are truly feeling, their shifting emotional states, and what's important to them, often more reliably than their words. Social awareness enables you to read power dynamics and shared emotional experiences within groups, fostering empathy and making you more comfortable and effective in social situations.
How do you develop that?
Again, it requires mindfulness, being fully present in the interaction. If you're distracted by your phone, rehearsing your response in your head, or lost in your own thoughts, you'll miss those subtle emotional shifts that are vital for full understanding. Paying close attention to others not only helps you understand them, but it also provides valuable insight into your own emotional state and values by seeing how you react to them.
Listening with your eyes and ears.
Okay.
And the fourth skill.
Fourth, and building on the others, is relationship management. This is about using your awareness of your own emotions and others' emotions to manage interactions successfully. It's about working effectively with others, building rapport, inspiring influence, handling conflict constructively.
The doing part of social interaction.
Exactly. Some key actionable insights here include: become aware of your nonverbal communication. You are constantly sending messages, whether you intend to or not, through your facial expressions, your gestures, your posture, your tone of voice. Others pick up on these signals, even if you're oblivious. Recognizing the messages you send is huge for improving how others perceive and respond to you. Another powerful tool is to consciously use humor and play to relieve stress in relationships and interactions. These are natural antidotes to stress. They lessen your burdens, help you keep things in perspective, and can quickly repair minor ruptures. Laughter, in particular, is known to balance the nervous system, reduce stress hormones, sharpen the mind, and even increase empathy.
Finding the lighter side.
When appropriate, yes. And finally, learn to see conflict as an opportunity to grow closer to others. Disagreements are inevitable in any meaningful relationship, but reframing them not as threats, but as chances to understand each other better and strengthen the connection allows you to resolve them constructively. When conflict resolution strengthens trust, it fosters freedom, creativity, and safety in relationships. People feel safe to disagree or bring up difficult topics.
That's a really constructive way to look at conflict. Okay, self-management, self-awareness, social awareness, relationship management. That's a great framework for EQ. Now, it feels like a lot of this self-discipline, EQ, even some aspects of virtue ethics, can sometimes sound like we're always striving to fix ourselves, manage our weaknesses, control our negative emotions.
That's a fair observation.
But what if we started from a place of inherent strength? How does positive psychology as a field shift that entire paradigm to help us build inner strength? It feels like a different angle.
It is a different angle, and a truly refreshing and powerful one. Positive psychology is a relatively newer branch of psychology that explicitly focuses on strengths rather than weaknesses. It fundamentally challenges the old, almost default assumption in psychology that focused primarily on pathology and fixing what's wrong. It also challenges the notion that happiness is simply the result of good genes or pure luck. Dr. Martin Seligman, who is often considered the father of modern positive psychology, has shown through extensive research that happiness and well-being can be actively cultivated by identifying and using many of the strengths and traits that you already possess. Things like kindness, originality, humor, optimism, generosity, perseverance. These aren't things you necessarily need to acquire. They're often already part of you. Seligman introduced the concept of signature strengths, those innate qualities, the ones that feel most authentic and energizing to you. When you frequently call upon these signature strengths in all the crucial realms of life, work, relationships, hobbies, they not only create natural buffers against misfortune and the experience of negative emotion, but they also actively move your lives up to a new, more positive plane.
Buffers against misfortune. That sounds like inner strength.
Exactly. Seligman's work has truly shifted psychology's focus away from just illness and dysfunction towards understanding and fostering positive emotion, virtue and strength, and positive institutions, like supportive workplaces or communities. And the benefits aren't just feeling good. They extend to tangible improvements in our health, relationships, and careers.
So what are these strengths? Is there a list?
There is. Seligman, along with other researchers like the late Christopher Peterson. Jordan Peterson wasn't directly involved in the original VIA classification, though he talks about related concepts, conducted massive cross-cultural research. They identified 24 universal inner strengths that seem to transcend cultural, historical, and geographical boundaries. They appear valued in almost every culture across time.
24. Wow, universal.
Universal, in the sense that they are recognizable and valued broadly. These 24 strengths are organized under 6 core virtues, which interestingly echo some of the classical virtues we discussed earlier. Let's walk through them quickly and you'll see the connections. First core virtue, wisdom and knowledge. These are cognitive strengths related to acquiring and using knowledge. The strengths here are creativity, thinking in novel, adaptive ways, originality, curiosity, taking an interest in experience for its own sake, exploration, finding things fascinating, judgment, open-mindedness, critical thinking, thinking things through, examining them from all sides fairly, not jumping to conclusions, love of learning, mastering new skills, topics, bodies of knowledge, related to curiosity but distinct, perspective, being able to provide wise counsel, having ways of looking at the world that make sense to oneself and others. This clearly aligns with Aristotle's phronesis or prudence.
Okay, that makes sense. Wisdom and knowledge. What's next?
Second core virtue, courage. Emotional strengths involving the exercise of will to accomplish goals in the face of opposition, external or internal. This directly mirrors the cardinal virtue of fortitude, courage. Strengths include bravery, not shrinking from threat, challenge, difficulty, or pain, speaking up for what's right, even if there's opposition, acting on convictions, persistence, perseverance, finishing what one starts, persisting in a course of action despite obstacles, taking pleasure in completing tasks, connect strongly to self-discipline, honesty, authenticity, integrity, speaking the truth but more broadly, presenting oneself in a genuine way, being without pretense, taking responsibility for feelings and actions, zest, vitality, enthusiasm, approaching life with excitement and energy, not doing things halfway or ham-heartedly, living life as an adventure, feeling alive and activated. Zest, I like that one. Okay, courage, third. Third core virtue, humanity. These are interpersonal strengths involving tending and befriending others. The strengths are love, valuing close relations with others, especially those in which sharing and caring are reciprocated, being close to people, both giving and receiving love, kindness, generosity, nurturance, doing favors and good deeds for others, helping them, taking care of them, includes compassion, social intelligence, being aware of the motives and feelings of other people and oneself, knowing what to do to fit into different social situations, knowing what makes other people tick, very close to EQ's social awareness.
Right, the people skills.
Ah.
Humanity. Fourth
core virtue, justice. Civic strengths that underlie healthy community life. Again, a direct link to the cardinal virtue of justice. Strengths here, teamwork, citizenship, loyalty. Working well as a member of a group or team.
Yep.
Being loyal to the group. Doing one's share. Fairness. Treating all people the same according to notions of fairness and justice, not letting personal feelings bias decisions about others, giving everyone a fair chance. Leadership, encouraging a group of which one is a member to get things done and at the same time maintain good relations within the group. Organizing group activities and seeing that they happen. Okay, justice. For the community, fifth core virtue, temperance. Strengths that protect against excess. This clearly maps onto the cardinal virtue of temperance. Strengths include forgiveness, mercy, forgiving those who have done wrong, accepting others' shortcomings, giving people a second chance, not being vengeful, humility, modesty, letting one's accomplishments speak for themselves, not seeking the spotlight, not regarding oneself as more special than one is, prudence, being careful about one's choices, not taking undue risks, not saying or doing things that might later be regretted. This is the careful, future-oriented aspect, slightly different from the wisdom aspect of perspective, but clearly related to classical prudence too. Self-regulation, self-control, regulating what one feels and does, being disciplined, controlling one's appetites and emotions. This is central to self-discipline and EQ's self-management.
Temperance, keeping things in balance. Okay, and the last one. Sixth.
Finally, sixth core virtue, transcendence. Strengths that forge connections to the larger universe and provide meaning. These help you connect to something bigger than yourself. Strengths are appreciation of beauty and excellence, awe, wonder. Noticing and appreciating beauty, excellence, and/or skilled performance in various domains of life, from nature to art to mathematics to science to everyday experience. Feeling awe. Gratitude. Being aware of and thankful for the good things that happen. Taking time to express thanks. Appreciating others, maybe God, maybe life itself. Hope, optimism, future-mindedness. Expecting the best in the future and working to achieve it. Believing that a good future is something that can be brought about. Humor, playfulness. Liking to laugh and tease. Bringing smiles to other people. Seeing the light side. Making, not necessarily telling jokes. Spirituality, religiousness, faith, purpose. Having coherent beliefs about the higher purpose and meaning of the universe. Knowing where one fits within the larger scheme. Having beliefs about the meaning of life that shape conduct and provide comfort.
Transcendence. Connected to something bigger. Wow, 24 strengths under 6 virtues. That's a comprehensive list of positive human qualities. So it sounds like these strengths aren't about pretending difficulties don't exist or avoiding challenges, but rather about using life's inevitable hurdles as opportunities to actually use and grow these strengths.
That's precisely it. That's the core idea. These inner strengths are not about ignoring life's difficulties, but rather about harnessing our innate capacities to navigate through them. Think about it. Bravery cannot exist without fear. Perseverance comes from overcoming the urge to quit, and self-control is tested through temptation. Challenges aren't the enemy of strength. They're the very forge in which our strengths are developed and refined. They give us the chance to practice. By recognizing and actively, consciously developing your signature strengths, the ones that feel most natural and energizing to you, you build profound resilience. This enables you to thrive even in the face of adversity, not just survive it. And Dr. Seligman and his colleagues at the VIA Institute on Character actually offer a free signature strength survey online, the VIA survey. It's a practical tool you can use to identify your top 5 strengths and maybe even get insight into your bottom 5, your lesser strengths.
Oh, it's useful.
Very. Seligman emphasizes that being honest about both will help you plan out a life that takes maximum advantage of your strengths. Leaning into what you're naturally good at and enjoy, while also being aware of areas where you might need to compensate or perhaps consciously develop a bit more. It's about smart deployment of your inner resources. 3. The Stoic path. Inner strength amidst external chaos.
Okay, we've explored the enduring wisdom of ancient virtue ethics with Aristotle, and then delved into these really practical insights from modern psychology, self-discipline, emotional intelligence, positive psychology focusing on strengths. Now, let's circle back, revisit Stoicism. It's a philosophy that seems uniquely suited, maybe more than ever today, to helping us maintain our inner calm and strength when the world around us feels unpredictable, chaotic, just completely out of control sometimes. It feels incredibly relevant, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. You know, when you think of Stoicism in action, one of the first figures who often comes to mind is Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor, arguably the most powerful man in the world at the time.
The philosopher king.
Exactly. And he's remembered not so much for his military conquests, though there were plenty, but for his profound discipline, humility, and stoic leadership. His meditations, his private journal, shows him constantly working to apply stoic principles to remain grounded under pressure. And he faced immense pressure ruling during a time of plague, constant warfare on the borders, political intrigue. His ability to maintain inner stability amidst such external chaos is really a powerful testament to the practical effectiveness of this philosophy.
So what is Stoicism at its core? It's more than just being stoic, like emotionless, right?
Oh, much more. That's a common misconception. Stoicism is far from offering just empty feel-good quotes you see on Instagram, though some are quite good. It's an enduring and practical philosophy that provides solid, practical guidance to master your emotions, clarify your thoughts, and build up your inner strength. These are qualities that are absolutely crucial to be a successful leader, as the source notes. But really, they're crucial for anyone trying to live a resilient, meaningful life in any walk of life.
So what's the core teaching?
Its core teaching is simple, yet incredibly profound. True contentment doesn't come from external circumstances, but from how we respond internally. It hinges on understanding what is truly good, which for the Stoics was virtue. It places immense focus, just like Aristotle, on the cardinal virtues: wisdom, justice, courage, and self-discipline, or temperance. These are the cornerstones of a good life. And most fundamentally, it emphasizes the principle of focusing only on what is within our control while accepting, with equanimity, what is not. This mindset becomes incredibly powerful when facing the constant change and uncertainty that life inevitably throws at us.
Okay, this principle distinguishing between what you can and cannot control, that sounds incredibly powerful, almost liberating. But how exactly do the Stoics advise us to apply this in our lives, especially when things feel turbulent or overwhelming?
It is liberating, though not always easy to practice. The Stoics offer what can be described as a dual pathway to resilience, a two-pronged approach that helps you navigate almost any situation. First, focus on what you can influence. This means consciously, deliberately directing your precious energy, attention, and effort solely to what is within our control, our decisions, actions, and mindset. Your judgments, your intentions, your responses.
Internal stuff.
Mostly internal, yes, and your chosen actions. For a leader, as the source suggests, this might mean concentrating on strategic direction, fostering a positive team culture, ensuring clear communication, maintaining impeccable leadership integrity, things they can directly shape rather than being consumed by external factors like market volatility, competitor moves, or media noise, which are largely beyond their direct influence. It's about proactive leadership, shaping outcomes through clarity, decisiveness, and discipline where you can.
Okay, focus your energy where it counts.
Exactly. But the second part is equally important. Adapt to what you cannot control. When you're facing circumstances truly outside your sphere of influence, maybe regulatory changes, an economic downturn, a global pandemic, a natural disaster, or even personal setbacks like illness or loss, Stoicism advises adjusting your expectations and mindset, not in defeat, but in wisdom.
Acceptance, but not resignation.
Precisely. It's not about giving up or becoming passive. It's about recognizing reality for what it is and choosing your response wisely. By reframing the uncontrollable as a test of character or an opportunity for innovation, or simply as something indifferent to your virtue, you can remain agile and emotionally steady even in turbulence. This acceptance isn't surrendering your agency. It's about freeing up your mental energy from useless worry, anger, or resistance and directing it towards purposeful action within the new reality. It allows you to lead, or just live, with empathy and clarity, even when a situation is difficult or inevitable.
Wow, focus on influence, adapt to the uncontrollable.
Right. And when you combine these two rules, they form a mental model that is both stabilizing and strategic. They're designed to help you stay grounded and effective when the world refuses to be predictable, which, let's face it, is most of the time. The ultimate outcome is what the source calls a strategic calm, allowing you to navigate change with composure, clarity, and purpose.
Strategic calm. I like that. Okay, these concepts sound incredible for building inner strength and resilience. But again, the practical question. How do we actually do Stoicism? It sounds great in theory, but what are the practical exercises we can incorporate into our daily lives to deepen this resilience?
That's the beauty of Stoicism. It was always meant to be a practical philosophy, a way of life, not just an intellectual exercise. The ancient Stoics developed specific techniques, spiritual exercises really, to train the mind. Here are some concrete steps and practices you can adopt, drawing from both ancient texts and modern interpretations. First, maybe study core Stoic texts. To truly grasp the philosophy and its underlying mindset, it helps to engage with the sources. Reading Marcus Aurelius's Meditations or the Discourses of Epictetus or Seneca's letters can be incredibly insightful, and modern interpretations like Ryan Holiday's books, The Daily Stoic or The Obstacle is the Way, are excellent starting points too, as they make the principles very accessible and relevant for today.
Get familiar with the ideas. Makes sense.
Second, and more importantly, practice key Stoic exercises daily. These are like mental workouts to build resilience. The dichotomy of control. This is fundamental. Every day, perhaps multiple times a day, consciously ask yourself, is this within my control or outside my control? Identify what falls into each category. Your thoughts, judgments, actions are in. External events, other people's opinions, health outcomes are mostly out. Then, deliberately direct your energy only to what you can control. This simple practice dramatically reduces frustration, anxiety, and wasted effort.
A daily mental sort.
Exactly. Another one is negative visualization, premeditatio malorum. This isn't about being pessimistic or dwelling on the negative. It's a powerful mental preparation technique where you regularly, maybe briefly each morning, imagine potential challenges, setbacks, or even worst-case scenarios, losing your job, getting sick, facing criticism. By mentally confronting these possibilities before they happen, you reduce anxiety and build resilience because you've already considered them. It prepares you for adversity so you're not caught completely off guard if something difficult occurs. It's like rehearsing resilience, not inviting misfortune.
Preparing for the worst, hoping for the best.
Kind of, but more about appreciating what you have now by contemplating its potential loss and building psychological immunity to shocks. Then there's voluntary discomfort. Deliberately expose yourself to manageable discomforts on a regular basis. This could be something as simple as taking cold showers, occasionally fasting for a short period, sleeping on the floor, or walking when you could drive. The purpose is to strengthen your mental toughness, build tolerance for hardship, and remind yourself of your inherent capacity to endure challenges. It makes you less fragile, less dependent on constant comfort.
Toughening up intentionally.
In a controlled way, yes. And of course, journaling, as Marcus Aurelius did. Dedicate time daily, maybe morning or evening, to reflect on your thoughts, actions, and emotions. How well did they align with Stoic virtues like wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance today? Where did you get disturbed? What could you have done differently? This consistent self-reflection is a key pathway to continuous improvement and deepening self-awareness.
The examine life. Okay. What else?
Third, actively cultivate virtue and mindfulness. Beyond specific exercises, consciously reflect throughout your day, is this decision wise? Is this action just? Am I acting courageously here? Am I practicing self-control? Keep the virtues top of mind. Additionally, practice mindfulness meditation. As we've seen, this connects back to emotional intelligence, helping you remain grounded in the present moment and reduce emotional reactivity, fostering that crucial inner calm that Stoicism prizes.
Mindfulness and virtue, hand in hand.
And they work well together. Fourth, apply Stoicism actively to challenges. Don't just keep these principles as intellectual curiosities. When real-world uncertainties and obstacles arise, and they will explicitly use the Stoic frameworks to navigate them, ask, what here can I influence? What must I accept? View obstacles not as insurmountable roadblocks, but as opportunities to exercise patience, courage, and humility, as Epictetus would say. Strive for that powerful balance between strategic action where possible and calm acceptance where necessary.
Use it when it counts.
Absolutely. And finally, engage with community and continuous learning. While Stoicism emphasizes self-reliance, connecting with others on a similar path can be very helpful. Joining Stoic or leadership groups, whether online or in person, can provide invaluable opportunities for shared insights, encouragement, and practical experiences. Most importantly, maintain consistent journaling or reflection to track your progress, analyze your responses, and view any setbacks not as failures, but as essential learning opportunities. Remember, as the source stresses, resilience builds over time with regular practice. It's an ongoing journey of cultivation, not a one-time fix. 4. Practical daily techniques for developing inner strength.
Okay, this is great. We've covered so much ground. And it's striking how mindfulness keeps surfacing as a core component, almost a foundational practice for inner strength across all these different disciplines we've explored, from ancient philosophy's focus on awareness to modern psychology's EQ and self-regulation, and even in practical Stoicism. Let's really drill down into it one more time. What exactly is it in practical terms, and how does it translate into tangible inner growth in our busy daily lives?
It really is a connecting thread, isn't it? Mindfulness, in its essence, is often described as an umbrella term for a set of practices and strategies related to attention and non-critical awareness of our thoughts, feelings, and sensations. Its mechanism, why it's so effective for inner strength, is quite elegant and powerful. By purposely, intentionally focusing your attention on the present moment, and this is key, without judgment, you start to better understand your thoughts and emotions as they arise and pass.
Not getting carried away by them.
Exactly. This heightened awareness allows you to recognize when negative patterns arise, like habitual worry or rumination or self-criticism. And it empowers you to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. It creates that crucial space, that pause, between a stimulus, an event, a thought, a feeling, and your response, giving you the freedom to choose how you want to act rather than being driven by autopilot reactions.
Creating choice.
Yes, creating choice and reducing reactivity. So, to put it into actionable terms for daily life, the advice is definitely to consider incorporating mindfulness exercises, such as meditation or deep breathing techniques, into your daily routine. Even 5 or 10 minutes can make a difference over time. These practices have been scientifically shown, again and again, to significantly enhance your emotional control, leading to a stronger sense of inner peace and stability. And as we discussed with emotional intelligence, that moment-to-moment connection with your changing emotional experience, that crucial skill of self-awareness, is directly cultivated through mindfulness. It enables you to reconnect to your core emotions, accept them, and become comfortable with them, fostering deep emotional health and resilience.
So it builds that foundation of awareness.
Precisely. Now, just as a brief, interesting nuance here, something for deeper reflection perhaps. While mindfulness offers immense benefits for presence, focus, and emotional regulation, some philosophical perspectives do raise interesting questions about whether certain intensive mindfulness practices might, in some cases, conflict with very long-term character development goals, particularly those focused on transforming desires.
Oh, so.
Well, for example, there's a distinction sometimes made between presence virtues like patience, calm, or concentration, which mindfulness clearly enhances, and perhaps absence virtues like freedom from greed or ill will, where the relationship might be more complex depending on the type of practice and the stage of development. It's just something to consider. How do we ensure our mindfulness practice serves our holistic flourishing and virtue development, not just present moment awareness? It encourages deeper thought for the listener interested in both paths.
That's a fascinating point for further reflection. Okay, so mindfulness provides the awareness. Beyond just awareness and understanding, what deliberate, action-oriented strategies can we take every single day to actively build our inner strength? What actions can we weave into our lives?
Absolutely. Awareness needs to translate into action.
Yeah.
Beyond cultivating that mindful presence, deliberate action is key. One crucial strategy we touched on earlier is goal setting and accountability. Defining clear, meaningful, and achievable goals creates an essential roadmap for success. It gives direction to your efforts. But here's the kicker we mentioned. Simply setting goals often isn't enough. Accountability plays a key role in follow-through.
Having someone check in.
Exactly. We strongly advise sharing your goals, maybe just one key goal related to building inner strength with a trusted friend, mentor, coach, or even an accountability partner.
Yeah.
This provides not only external support and encouragement, which is valuable in itself, but it also reinforces your commitment to your goals. Knowing someone else knows and might ask you about it strengthens your inner resolve because you have a sense of responsibility to follow through. It just makes it harder to quit when things get tough.
Leverage social connection for personal growth.
Precisely. Another incredibly powerful action-oriented technique you can use daily is positive affirmations and self-talk. We often underestimate the power of words, especially the ones you say to yourself, in that constant internal dialogue.
Our inner narrator.
Right, and often that narrator can be quite critical or negative. Positive affirmations act as a catalyst for shifting your mindset and boosting your inner resilience. When practiced consistently and sincerely, they can effectively help rewire your brain to focus on your strengths, your capabilities, and positive outcomes, rather than dwelling on limitations or fears.
Like programming your mind.
In a way, yes. By consistently repeating uplifting, believable statements to yourself. Things like, I am capable of handling challenges, or I learn and grow from setbacks, or I choose to respond calmly. You actively foster a more positive, resourceful outlook. This isn't just wishful thinking if it's grounded in reality and intention. It's a deliberate practice to reshape your internal narrative and bolster your confidence and inner strength over time.
Okay, goal setting with accountability, positive self-talk. Those are concrete actions. Now, the big question for many of us in our busy, often chaotic lives, how do we actually weave these practices, mindfulness, goal pursuit, positive framing, into the fabric of our daily existence to make them truly transformative, rather than just another chore on an already packed to-do list? How do we integrate it?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Integration is key. It's not about adding massive new time commitments necessarily, but about weaving these principles into the existing rhythm of your life. One key approach is building daily routines that incorporate these elements naturally. For example, consider starting your day not by grabbing your phone immediately, but with a short mindfulness meditation, maybe just 5 minutes, followed by setting your intentions for the day. What quality do you want to embody today? What's your most important task? This primes your mind for focus and calm before the day's demands hit.
Starting the day intentionally.
Exactly. Also, make it a point to incorporate regular physical activity, whether it's yoga, walking, running, strength training, any form of exercise you enjoy, which research consistently shows can enhance both physical and mental resilience. It's a powerful mood booster and stress reliever. And crucially, throughout your busy day, advise yourself to deliberately take moments to pause and reflect. These aren't luxuries. These small breaks, even just 60 seconds of mindful breathing at your desk between meetings, or a short walk outside at lunchtime, can help recharge your emotional batteries, preventing burnout and maintaining mental clarity and perspective. Look for those small pockets of time.
Micro-practices.
Yes, micro-practices woven into the day. Furthermore, establishing a healthier work-life balance and effective time management is absolutely crucial for sustainable inner strength. It's hard to feel strong when you're constantly depleted and overwhelmed. Striving for a healthy balance, whatever that looks like for you, can significantly influence your inner strength. This often means learning to prioritize tasks that truly align with your core values and most important goals, and importantly, having the discipline and courage to set boundaries to protect your time and energy. Learning to say no sometime.
Boundaries are key.
They are. When you manage your time effectively, focusing on what truly matters rather than just being busy, you create the necessary space for self-care, reflection, relationships, and personal development, all of which nourish your inner strength instead of feeling constantly drained. This intentionality reinforces your inner resolve as you deftly navigate both your professional and personal responsibilities with greater calm and purpose. It's about being intentional with your most valuable, non-renewable resources, your time and your energy.
Wow. What an incredible journey we've taken today, really mapping out this landscape of inner strength. We started by unearthing those deep roots in ancient philosophy, particularly with Aristotle's incredibly rich vision of virtue ethics and the pursuit of eudaimonia, human flourishing, understanding how building character and living a truly good life are fundamentally intertwined.
That foundation is so important.
It really is. Then we move forward into modern psychological frameworks, dissecting the practical power of self-discipline. Those 9 steps from Brent Gleason felt so actionable. We explored the comprehensive reach of emotional intelligence, the 4 key skills needed to navigate our inner and outer worlds. And we looked at the paradigm-shifting perspective of positive psychology, focusing on those 24 universal signature strengths we all possess.
Bringing the focus onto what's right with us.
Exactly. And finally, we dove back into the unshakable resilience offered by the Stoic path, learning that crucial skill of distinguishing what we can control from what we cannot, and embracing those concrete, actionable exercises for daily cultivation of inner calm and fortitude.
It's quite a toolkit we've assembled.
It really is. And this deep dive, I hope it reinforces for you, our listener, that inner strength development isn't just some nice-to-have personal advantage. It's really a vital skill for navigating the world we live in today.
Absolutely. It's the very capacity that empowers you to navigate life's inevitable challenges with resilience and confidence, allowing you not just to survive, but potentially to emerge stronger than ever from adversity. Growth through challenge. And remember, it is an ongoing journey. There's no final destination where you just achieve inner strength and you're done. It's a continuous process of cultivation, practice, learning, and refinement. So we really encourage you to embrace the challenges as opportunities to practice, celebrate your progress along the way, no matter how small, and continue to invest in your personal growth. It's perhaps the best investment you can make.
Beautifully said. An ongoing journey.
And perhaps as you reflect on this journey of inner strength, thinking about Aristotle's vision of a flourishing life grounded in virtuous activity and the Stoics' unwavering calm even in the face of external chaos, maybe consider this final thought. If cultivating inner strength truly means mastering our response to both life's buffets and its blessings, focusing on our internal state, our virtue, perhaps the true measure of a flourishing life isn't ultimately about avoiding hardship, avoiding the rack, as the Stoics famously pondered when discussing torture. But perhaps it lies in the unshakable virtue, the integrity of character we manage to maintain, even when everything else, all those external goods, might be stripped away. What if that commitment to inner excellence, regardless of circumstance, is the ultimate victory over self that Plato spoke of? And what if that is the path to a profound, resilient happiness that no external event, no fortune or misfortune can truly diminish?
Wow. A powerful thought to sit with, truly. The unshakable virtue within. We hope this deep dive has given you, our listener, a clear map or at least some good signposts to begin or continue your own journey toward building that unshakable inner foundation. Perhaps you'll take the time later today to reflect on your own signature strengths, maybe even take that VIA survey, or perhaps try one of those practical Stoic daily exercises, like the dichotomy of control just for today. Notice what's in your control and what isn't. See how it feels. Until next time, keep diving deep into what matters.